Now, when it comes to value, it's not just search terms that provide value. There are many actions on a website, many things that can reflect value. Now, let's go back to our equation that we used before, and let's look at what our primary goals are, those that give us revenue, those that lead to revenue, and those that will eventually provide value in the future or reinforce our brand. And so we want to look at our segments in that thinking that visitors who searched for this word, and that's what we talked about in the lesson of segmentation. People who search for different words show different intent. We can measure those words and find different intent and compare the value. We can also look at what page they entered on, and we're going to explore that. But right now, we're going to look at the conversion and figure out what did they do and how much does that benefit me. What I like to develop is what's called an opportunity analysis. See, when we start evaluating a website, one of the things we want to know is how many visitors are coming to the site, maybe on a monthly or an annual basis, and what's the average conversion rate for that time, what was the revenue, and what's the average sale. Those four numbers should give you a good idea of where your business is at just by looking at the averages. And so the opportunity is, if I increase the amount of visitors to the website, it will affect my sales based on that conversion rate. So if I add 10% more visitors, then my conversion rate, if it stays at that 1.58%, then I will increase my revenue. However, if I want to double my revenue, that means I need to double the amount of visitors. That means I need to rank for enough terms. I need to have enough long-tail terms to go from 50,000 visitors to 100,000 visitors in order to double my sales. That's a lot of work, and it's going to take a long time. Now, also what I can do, instead of just increasing the amount of visitors, is I can increase my conversion rate. I can make it easier for people to do what I want them to do on the website. And even if I just increase the conversion rate from 1.58%. Now, what I want you to understand is that means that less than 2 out of 100 people do what I want them to do. And so let's say I increase the conversion rate to 3%, and that's 3 out of 100 people do what I want them to do. I can double my sales. I can either double my traffic from 50,000 to 100,000, or I can go from 1.5 people out of 100 to 3 people out of 100 that do what I want them to do. And what happens is I can double my sales by both increasing my traffic and making my site easier to use. And if I do both, well, that's the sweet spot. That's where we're increasing the amount of visitors coming to the site, and we're making it easier for them to use. And so that's why it's so critical to understand how conversion plays into the equation of bringing people to the site and finding out how valuable they are by what they do. Let's go back to our segment equation. We've addressed visitors based on the term that they searched for, but what's vitally important is understanding the first thing they see. Impressions do matter, because that does determine their conversion rate and their worth, their value to us as a business. As an example, there's one site, and in fact this happens on many sites, but the evaluation of this site showed that the primary keyword that they had rankings for, the average conversion rate was 2.2%. 2 out of 100 people doing what they wanted them to do. Now, this keyword ranked number 3 on Google, but it was the homepage that ranked at number 3. And this keyword provided over 2,500 search visitors, but it had a 22% bounce rate, which was 22% of those 2,600 visitors left immediately when they saw the homepage. The conversion rate was less than average when people entered on that homepage for that term, and they ended up with 48 conversions. That means out of 2,600 visitors, 48 did what they wanted them to do. Now, that same word also ranked on the second page of results in Google, and it was the category page. It had nearly a third of search visitors. It had a lower bounce rate, less people were leaving, but a 4.3% conversion rate. That means that it was 4 out of 100. It was double the conversion rate of the homepage and got nearly as many conversions with less visitors. What that showed us is that people want to enter websites as close to their destination as possible. And most times, the homepage is not the most ideal page for people to see. People convert more when they enter closer to their destination. So rankings are not the goal. Conversions are. Understanding the intent of your searcher, understanding the goals that you have, and tracking those goals for the visitor, and assigning value to each of those goals can help you understand what you need to do to make a better experience for your visitor.